It's getting initialized. I'm not sure if you're there yet, but let's see what we can do. Live. And this is Jim Miller, and I've got a commitment to myself to do these lives every day. I'm going to do one a day. And what I want to try to make them entertaining and fun. And I want to wrap them around the subject matter of wealth and generational wealth and longevity health. And I'm just starting to do another video podcast Fridays, a live show that's called the Wealthy Healthy Live Show. And I want to talk about all things that have to do with your health and generational wealth. So, having longevity health is important to me, and building generational wealth is also important. And I'm on a journey to accomplish both of those things and hitting some headwinds, as we all do. And so, I want to share my story with you as we go through this. But as we do it, I want to have fun. So I've set up a Google alert, and I have one. I've got a bunch of them set up, and I've got one on longevity, and one on wealth and generational wealth. And so I found something that MSN put up. Let's see if I can find it again here. Um Move me as a spotlight. Yeah, there we go. And it's called A Candid Look at Financial Reality Shaping Millennial and Gen Z Lives Today. That should be pretty fun because let's see, let's take a look at who those people are. They're, of course, I'm in the boomer side. So I was born in 1957. So I'm an ancient, old as dirt type of dude, but still got some energy and I still love life. So I'm going to try to keep contributing here as much as I possibly can. And so we're the boomers are Generation Jones. It says I don't know where that comes from, but we're between 60 and on up to ancient. And so built born in 1955 to 64 technically, and then we've got Gen X, which is 1965 to 1980. And Gen X's are between 44 years old and 59 years old now. Millennials, who we're going to talk about today, are between 28 and 43 years. So they were born in 81 through 96. And then we've got Gen Zs, and they're 97 to 2012. So they're 12 to 27 years old. They're just getting started. So, and let's see, this is interesting. I found in Zendesk says the millennials versus Gen Z. They've got a quick little thing here I'll share with you. The millennials expect an immediate customer service response. Boom. They don't have time to wait around. And they will spend more, they'll spend more money after a personalized experience. So they appreciate personalized experiences instead of just you know, the run of the mill stuff. They want to be treated like a human, which I get. Uh, and they're more likely to switch to a competitor after a bad experience. What does that tell you? Well, maybe a little light on the loyalty side, but hey, if you haven't established yourself with them, then hey, you're done. I'm going to go move on to the next place because there's always another place to go. And it's an interesting perspective. And also, the last one they say for the millennials is that they report high exhaustion levels after a customer service interaction. So, what is that? High exhaustion levels after a customer service interaction. Maybe that's that they just feel like they're uh, they're tired. They get the I don't like you, dude. But you know what? If your customer service experience sucks, then maybe they're justified in thinking that. Uh, and that I've been through many of those. And yeah, maybe if I thought about it, I could say I'm exhausted too after that. Maybe just pissed. Anyway, that's the millennials. And Zendesk says about the Gen Zs, they prefer self-service options. So they're more independent and they believe personalized experiences are not exclusive to premium brands. So, hey, even if you're a little guy, you need to be catering to their need and desire to be treated like a human. Again, maybe there's a trend starting here. believes personalized experiences are not exclusive to premium brands, and they like to spend more time researching before making a purchase. I think that's smart. You can get into this analysis paralysis kind of a situation, and maybe that happens, and we're like they're buried with. At least I know I am. I'm buried with all of the content that's available for me to see. I can research something to death before I make a decision, and sometimes I never make the decision, and time is lost. So it's for me now working to be in the moment and making decisions, boom, almost subconsciously. Just like this feels good, I'm going to do it, boom, and you do it, and you take the consequences. Most times it works out, not always, but most times it does. And if it doesn't work, I'm thinking more on the stoic lines of thinking now, the stoic philosophies that, hey, even if something bad happens to you, it's okay because something good's going to come of it eventually. You'll learn something, you'll meet somebody, something will happen that will make that all worth it. Short term, it may seem like, "Ah, what a pain in the butt," but long term, it works out. So be patient. And then let's see, the last thing for Gen Z is that they are less concerned when it comes to data privacy. So that's an interesting for their age. And again, the Gen Zs are between 12 and 27, so they're just coming up. They haven't experienced the world yet. They haven't gotten their credit stolen and their credit card stolen. I just last month I had to shut down my credit card, and it took 2 weeks to get it right before Christmas. And can you panic? Ah! I had no credit card. I couldn't get anything done. It was like being in timeout in this, put in the sandbox with the cat poop. It's just like there was nothing I could do. I was just worthless. So they haven't learned those lessons yet, maybe, but privacy is really important, I think, and having those issues pop up in your life as you get into adulting and move into that space more, you'll learn. That from the old codger. You'll learn. Yep. So, well, let's get into this thought about being a millennial and a Gen Z and what their financial realities are today. This is according to Microsoft News MSN, which ambivalent about their who they are. I'm not a big fan of Microsoft personally, but they're around, so you gotta can't ignore them completely. And so boomers, it says, often wonder why younger generations seem to struggle financially. But the truth lies in the changing economic landscape. From stagnant wages to skyrocketing living costs, the financial hurdles faced by millennials and Gen Zs are vastly different. These income truths reveal the challenges they navigate daily and highlight why bridging the generational understanding gap is crucial for fostering empathy and support. And for me, as an old guy, I want to provide empathy and support. I want to give back. I'm at that point now in my life where giving back is a priority. So I love being able to do that, and that's why one of the reasons I'm doing this live is to kind of get that conversation going and have people be aware of this. So if you're watching, awesome. Uh, let's go through this list. There's I think 12 or 13 slides. So the first one is it talks about when it stops bouncing around. Stagnant wages. Stagnant wages haven't kept up with inflation. Well, we've recently been through, as we all know, we've been through an amazing up, uptick in inflation. So much so that the Fed uh, has started reducing interest rates to get the economy going again. So it says stagnant wages haven't kept up with inflation. Unlike previous generations, millennials and Gen Z have seen wages remain relatively flat while the cost of living has soared. I remember when I was their age coming up, we would have some inflation. There was inflation, but we got cost of living increases too. So it made it a little bit easier. It never kept up with inflation, but it was better than nothing. And today, wages remain relatively flat. So the cost of living has soared, and essential expenses like housing, healthcare, and education have increased disproportionately, leaving many struggling to make ends meet despite their full time jobs. Wow. Life ain't fair, is it? It just comes hit it just keeps hitting you, boom, 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 boom. Never really get a chance to catch up. Well, let me tell you something. That was the same way I felt when I was your age too. So it ain't changed. It's not changed one bit from that regard. So you just got to keep working, keep becoming more and better, and increasing your ability to earn more and add more value in the world. And as you're doing that, you'll get more income coming in. So enjoy it. Don't stress over it. Eat well, be healthy. Think about your longevity and plan for your future as best you can. And I think the most important thing with all of this, just as a matter of course, from me to you, is that every day you should be experiencing joy in some way. That's my encouragement. If you're not feeling joy in some way, you got to change something, because that's really why we're here, I think, is being in the moment, being grateful, having appreciation and joy for what it is you've got on the table to work with, and really love what you're doing. And if you're not in that position, I'm sorry, but you can change it, and you should. And find people to help you. Surround yourself with the right people to do that, and you'll find really actually pretty quick what you're capable of and where your challenges lie. And you can work on one thing at a time. That uh, Atomic Habits by James Clear, that book, I just recommend that book really highly. It's helped me a ton. So James Clear, Atomic Habits, go there. So what does it say? It continues to say, this wage stagnation creates a reality where financial stability feels unattainable, leading to frustration and burnout for younger workers. Yep. Yeah, I get it, but don't go there. You don't have to. There's ways through this. And you with technology today, we didn't have any of this stuff. I didn't have cell phones that would give you an answer, boom, right off the bat. I didn't have maps. I didn't have uh, there's all kinds of things we've got at our disposal. AI, come on. This is crazy. You have no excuse for not being productive and making money when we've got an online system that we have today, with all the new technologies coming up with crypto. Um, yeah, they say it's risky, and yeah, it probably is, but learn about it. Learn about it and figure out what works for you. And the AI stuff. There's new technologies coming up. I remember when the computer just started. I was in sales, and everybody was saying, "Oh, the computer's going to replace salespeople." This was back in the '80s. The personal computer was just kicking in, and people were starting to use it to do things and automate things, and everybody was nervous about sales world, nervous about being replaced, and crazy, but it's true. And it never happened, by the way, and it won't happen. It won't happen even with AI, because we are humans, and having that human to human connection you can't replace with technology. I don't care what kind of technology you've got. You cannot replace the human to human connection. So that's going to be the most valuable thing. Your your IQ is important, but your EQ, your emotional quotient, is where in my view, that's where you spend the most time right now, is in your EQ. Get to be really good at meeting and growing with people in your life, and being part of a team, and coordinating, and being, networking, using that network effect to your advantage. That's really what this is all about today. And if you don't know what the network effect is, look it up. That's my mom used to say that when I was looking for a word. I'd ask my mom. I know she knew the word because she was an English major. She's really smart, and I would ask her, "What's this word mean?" And she'd say, "Go look it up." God, that pissed me off. And I'd say, "You know that word? You tell me what it is." And she goes, "Go look it up." So I did, and it eventually became a habit to go look words up. And now I know a bunch of words that I didn't know before. And because I looked them up, I remember them. So, and they've come in really handy. Well, this is the same idea here as to get busy and start learning about these technologies and things that we've got at our disposal. You should, I'm my view, you should always be learning something every day, something new. My grandfather told me that. He was a CPA on Wall Street. He's a partner in a firm on Wall Street. He was famous as saying, yeah, learn something new every day, and you'll be just fine." And I've lived that, and I think it's absolutely true. So don't be afraid to learn something new. Step out into the unknown. Try things. As you get to know me, you'll see I've done a lot of crazy things just to experience them, and I've had a lot of fun. So invite you to do that too. So we'll move on to number 2 here. What is that? That is slideshow continues. So that's another ad. Okay. So it's bouncing around. Got another ad. Okay. So the number 2 thing is student loan debt is a crushing burden. Yes, sir. Student loan debt. Wow. Boomers often paid less for their education. Yeah, I remember mine was like 30 grand for what I did. And now it's 150 plus. I don't know. It's a lot. It's like a house. It's a house payment. So boomers are often paid less for their education, but today's generations face a student debt crisis. Tuition costs having skyrocketed, many are saddled with decades of repayment. Yes. Yes. You get into that area where you want to start being more private with your finances. These financial obligations impact their ability to buy homes, save for retirement, or even start families. Recognizing, yeah, the 26-year-old still living at home. Recognizing this reality can help boomers understand the financial constraints shaping younger lives. Yep, I think that's true. And we put them into this. I feel a little bit guilty because I wasn't really I was working like the uh, the Gen Xers are right now. I was working really hard during that time. And I didn't pay much attention to what was going on outside of my little sphere because I was focused on getting my career started and making money and building a family and maybe a little bit about my community, but not much. I was really focused on that, and I needed to be for it to work. And I had success, but I was not able to do anything. So I kind of depended on people who are my age now, the older guys and gals, to have that perspective and come into the world, enter the mil- milieu, the milieu, if you will, of conversations. Talk about what we're going to do to help these kids coming up, the next generation, help them create their own wealth. We can spend all that we made. That's another problem. We'll talk about that later. So, uh, with tuition costs having skyrocketed, many are saddled with decades of repayment. These financial obligations impact their ability to buy homes, save for retirement, or even start families. Recognizing this reality can help boomers understand the financial constraints shaping in your lives. Yep, I think that's something that we need to, as a boomer, I feel that it's responsibility for me as a citizen of the United States. And I love this country to be part of that conversation and see what I can do to influence things in their direction to make them make it easier for my kids and my grandkids to live the life I was blessed to live here. So number 3, what do we have as it bounces around? Number 3, home ownership feels like an impossible dream. Yep, this is one of the problems that millennials and Gen Zs are facing. Housing costs have risen dramatically. The house that we bought back in the 80s for $160,000 is now on the market for almost 900,000, and it's not a big deal house. It's bloody crazy that it costs that much to buy a house. $900,000. I mean, that's insane. But the housing costs have risen dramatically, outpacing wage growth. For millennials and Gen Zs, buying a home often requires years of savings. Well, it did for us too, but we could get loans that, because we weren't in an inflationary time really, not like we've been, loan costs were reasonable. You know, we were, well, take that back. My first house, the first house that we bought in the early 80s, and it was 750 square feet. We bought it for 117.5, and we were so dead set on getting into a house as early as possible. We paid interest of 17.5%. It was all inclusive trustee, AITD, affectionately called a wraparound loan. Some of you older folks may recognize that term. And so we were paying on 2 loans that were wrapped into 1 loan, and they increased the rate on those 2 loans 17.5%. So we were paying that much for our first house. We paid 117.5. In 6 months after we purchased that house, the market tanked. And the house value went down from 117 to like 92. We couldn't sell it. So we had to wait, sitting on our thumbs for 5, almost 6 years before they came back. And then we were so anxious to get into something new because we felt like it was a little cracker box that we immediately jumped into a bigger house. Well, that was one of the biggest mistakes I think I've ever made, is not hanging on to that place, because now it's worth over 1,000,000 where it is. It's in Southern California in Mission Viejo, and it's an old house now, but it's still they're still buying it at high rates, and it's crazy, but that's the way it is. So those are things to learn, maybe from older folks like me, had with that perspective. Say, stick with it there, have the long term view, and give yourself some time to relax and think about things before you have make rational decisions. I had a professor in college, Doc Ryder. He would say short term decisions have long term consequences. Boy, is that true. Short term decisions have long term consequences. If I were you, I'd write that one down. I did. I've remembered it all these years, and it holds true. So let's see, where were we at? Many Gen Zs and millennials resort to renting indefinitely, sacrificing the financial security and wealth building opportunities home ownership once provided. Understanding this struggle can help boomers see why today's generations prioritize other financial goals. Yeah. Well, it's like, come on, if I was going to buy a house today for a small family and pay $900,000, forget it. I don't have the equity built up. People that come buy those have equity that they've built up over the years. In selling one house, and then they buy the next house, and their house payment stays about the same because they've got equity that they can move from house to house as they grow. So that's really the idea. But to move right into a big house like that, forget it. And plus, they've got their college loans to deal with, and inflation. Heck, I go into McDonald's and what is it? Jack in the Box. Paid 15 bucks for a hamburger at Jack in the Box the other day. So, it how do you do it? You really can't. So, home ownership feels like an impossible dream. I'll have to tell you, though, it's not impossible. It's not impossible. Hear my words. It's not impossible. Think about what you want and put it into your plan. Make it happen. You can do it. But it's going to take effort and work and focus and relationships with the right people, and using the right vehicles and tools to make money. And well, you're not going to do it by being employed by someone else. I'll tell you that right now. The best way you're going to be, the only way you're going to do it is to work for somebody else as your day job. And then There's no option here. You need a plan B income. There's no option. You've got to have a plan B income today to make things work, to have a decent lifestyle. Otherwise, you're risking so much. We'll get into this later, but I've got so much to tell you about my experiences with jobs. I've been hired and fired and hired and fired and missed out on all kinds of things and also did really well in some situations. But um, in the end, I think if I'd planned better and had a plan B income, a residual income, that things would have turned out much better for me in the long run. So less stress, less health issues, less times when my body says, "I'm done with you, dude. I'm filing papers." I've had that happen. So we'll talk about that later. But in the meantime, let's move on. So the number 4 issue is, let's see if after it stops bouncing around, gig economy jobs lack stability and benefits. Yeah, that's just like getting another job. Don't do the gig thing. It's another job. It's crazy. While boomers often had stable, benefit-laden jobs, I did. I had been my job. I had a base salary. I was in sales, so I got a bonus, and I got bonuses and commission. I had insurance, I had a 401k, putting money away, and then there was a matching program for that, and it was pretty nice. You know what? I can't complain about it. It was pretty nice, but none of that's really going today. Everything's costing so much, and as we talked about in the first slide, the your salaries are not growing with the times. So you got to do something. You can't just blame somebody else and play the victim. That's bullshit. You got to take matters into your own hands. Keep learning, keep growing, and understand your options and take advantage of what we have today. So much opportunity out there. Add value, and it's not making money. It's not focused on making money. It's focused on adding value and being passionate and sharing your joy and your love for something. That'll bring you more opportunity than you can ever handle. Opportunity and adding value is where the money comes. So the money will follow that. It's the way the world works. So the gig economy is these roles offer flexibility but lack health insurance, paid leave, and retirement plans. They suck. This shift in the job market, and if you when you leave, your income stops. It's a job. You're getting paid by the hour. You don't do work, you don't get paid. That's really not the way to go anymore. You are would be really smart to figure out a way to get paid passive or residual income in some way. One of those 2 strategies. There's millions of ways to do it. No excuse. Get out and start looking and hustle that. Learn, go through your learning curve. Start small. Make little successes, small things. And as you do that, consistency will help you grow. Make that happen. This shift in the job market leaves millennials and Gen Z with more financial precarity. There's a big word, precarity. Maybe I don't know what that means, and fewer safety nets. Precarity is probably out there on the ledge, getting ready for the wind to blow you off into oblivion. Complicates long-term financial planning. Yeah, it does, because you're depending on it, but it's not actually doing anything for you. You're not probably not even staying ahead with inflation, and you're spending all your time farting around, delivering stuff to people who don't really need what they're getting, and, don't get me started. It's crazy to think about what opportunities that we have today. But relying on the gig economy, unless you've got a really special skill that you can charge a lot of money for, that's in demand, that people really want, that they'll pay you, like $1,000 an hour to do, maybe at least $100 an hour, then find something that you can make that kind of money at, because it's out there. I don't care who you are, you can do it. So let's see what number 5 says. Slideshow continues on next slide. Okay, what do we got? Number 5, healthcare costs are significantly higher. Healthcare costs are significantly higher. Wow. Yeah, the healthcare right now, I was reading a study about that, that in the United States right now, today, that healthcare is the biggest reason that families and small businesses go bankrupt, file bankruptcy, is for healthcare. Can't pay the healthcare bills, and I'm astounded at how many people don't have healthcare for their families. If they're especially if they're like independent agents or real estate agents or loan agents or insurance agents. They're out there hustling and doing their thing, but their ass is in the wind because they don't have insurance for their family. And what happens is somebody gets hurt, they go to the hospital and they're in sticker shock because it costs them, $50 to $100,000 to get a ride in an ambulance to the hospital. That's a truth. That's true. If you get into a motorcycle accident out in the boonies and you need a heliflight to get to the hospital, that's 50 grand just for the helicopter. And then you've got whatever medical bills after that. So you can't survive today without good health care. And if you are paying for health care, you're paying out the nose for a product that really doesn't work. It's broken. The system is broken. Because here's why: the cost of healthcare has skyrocketed over the decades, creating a heavy financial burden for younger generations. Even with insurance, high deductibles and copays can make routine medical care unaffordable. Yeah, many avoid necessary treatments due to cost. Yep, further impacting their quality of life. The contrast with the more affordable healthcare boomers often experienced in their youth. Yeah, we had good healthcare. It was great, but now it isn't. It sucks. It's like you know what? It pays you better to be healthy. So don't get sick. So how do you do that? Well, the first thing that I did was take personal responsibility for my healthcare, for my health. I am responsible for my health, not the doctor. I'm not bad mouthing doctors. They're great. When you need them, they're great. But the trick is to understand how your body works and feed it well. I do 4 things now. I've adjusted my diet, I sleep, I manage my stress, and I so sleep, manage stress, exercise. I keep forgetting exercise for some reason. It's one of the things that I do it, but it's not something I love to do. In stress management. So, those 4 things, just get those things into your habits every day to do the right things. And the diet part is probably the biggest, and then exercise, then stress management, then sleep. So that's the secret, is not to get sick. And in order to not to get sick, you got to be healthy. So in order to be healthy, you got to master how things work with your body and what you're feeding it and how you're feeding it, when you're feeding it and how it operates. I've gotten to a point where I understand down to the cellular level how my body works. And I'm far from being an expert, but I know enough to be able to manage my body now. Energy levels up. I'm actually have more energy than I did, I think, when I was in my 30s. So I'm feeling great and my body's responding well. And I'm actually getting younger. I've taken a test where it checks your, um, your chronological age and your cellular age. And my chronological age, as I mentioned, is 67. Well, but my body's age is 58. So I'm actually growing younger. I can tell you why. We'll talk about that later, but it's a process. And it takes taking that making that decision. Yeah, I'm responsible for my health. I'm responsible for this. And I'm going to do what I need to do to get the health I need to have the energy that will give me the ability to have a great life and experience joy every day. That's it. Simple. So the next thing, healthcare. I just like gotta fix that. There's absolutely opportunities. I can tell you about a couple of them. One of them I love that I'm on right now. I'm on Medicare, but I've also got another one to supplement. that's called health sharing, Impact Health Sharing, and it's incredible. So I'd love to chat about that if you want. It's saving people between 30 and 70% on their healthcare, families and businesses. We've got a program where you can do up to 49 people if you have a small business on a group program, and it's incredible. So you save 30 up to 70%. The average is about 50% on healthcare. So that'll give you the ability to offer that healthcare to your family and your business associates and your employees, and earn some income too. That could be a nice. That's actually a really nice residual income stream that you can build. So that's a little commercial. Next, well, let's go on to the next one. So number 6, retirement savings are harder to build. Let's see. Yep, retirement savings. So you're spending all this money. Your inflation's killing you. Your wages are flat, and you've got all these. Housing costs are immense, and you want to eat a burger costs you an arm and a leg. How are you going to start putting money away for retirement? And 401ks aren't really a good deal anymore. They never were really. Once you understand how that all works, it's a really bad program. So that's why I'm studying and learning about generational wealth, and we'll talk about that uh, so that you can build a retirement, build your residual income and passive income streams, so that you can actually provide for your family, have a life, and build your retirement and have fun, take vacations, and do fun things that you should do. So, stop stressing and start working. Get to work, but work on the right things. Don't get another job. Don't get a second job because it puts you in the worst position tax wise. Absolute worst position tax wise. They'll take more out of your taxes. That happened to me. I know for sure that when I was in my 20s, I got a second job, and they ended up taking more tax money out than I made at my second job. It's like this doesn't work. So don't do it. Retirement savings are harder to build because rising living costs mean that saving for retirement is a luxury many millennials and Gen Zs can't afford. Fewer jobs offering pensions and expectations to self-fund retirement through 401ks and IRAs, many feel unprepared for their future. Acknowledging this challenge can foster understanding between generations about different financial realities. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Um, But again, there's really no excuse. You're got all these tools now. We've got all these tools. I'm gonna stop doing this. We've been going for gosh, almost 40 minutes. Um, got all these tools now for us to use in various places to build residual and passive income streams for yourself as a plan B income. So go to work, get your job done, but use the technology that we have. Got AI coming on strong. We've got crypto as an alternative. We've got all kinds of ways to make money other than the job. And those other ways to make money, and don't do the gig thing. That's not smart either, in my view. But find a way that you can earn additional income. If you want to get into the discussion on that, DM me or something and we'll chat. I've got some ideas for you. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. Just remember, as I wrap up today, remember that there's more to wealth than money, and there's more to health than eating gluten free. Wrap your head around that. And we'll talk to you again tomorrow because I'll be here tomorrow again. We'll talk about a different subject. It has to do with wealth and health, generational wealth, and building longevity health. See ya.